we can capture the heart of who God says our friends or our sisters are, then we can celebrate them. We can love them. You know, in order for us to do that, we have to first do that for ourselves. The Bible tells us, love your neighbor as you love yourself. If you have no love for yourself, how can you love other people?
Celebrating others to me means finding the true joy and happiness alongside someone else.
I'm able to look outside of just my little lens, and I'm able to celebrate and see what God is doing in someone else. You're seeing others and you're celebrating others the way He does.
Celebrating others means getting over myself and taking the time to truly see, know, and love the people that God's put in my life.
I love building connections with women and seeing desires and wants and things that have been promised and fulfilled. It gets me encouraged in my walk with the Lord.
Speak the goodness that you see in other people. So if you see somebody serving in a beautiful way or just really blessing other people, or if you see any kind of strength in them, when you see it, tell them. Say, hey, I see this in you, and I believe this is a gift that the Lord has given you to bless others, and I admire you for it, or I think that this is really neat, and I want to be more like you.
Really rejoice when we see our friends or just people around us, experiencing blessing and breakthrough in their life.
Something the Lord has taught me is to really be intentional with people, because everybody's so different. So, finding out what each person enjoys, and go with that to show them that they're celebrated in the relationship.
So look beyond this surface and see the greatness, call out the greatness in other people. Proverbs 20:15 tells us that there is counsel hidden deep in the heart of a man, and that a wise person knows how to draw that out.
We have the power either to speak life or death. So I personally made a decision that no matter what, I'm to pour out encouragement and not discouragement in every situation.
Whatever it is that's lifting them up in spirit, just rejoicing with them in that same spirit, making them feel special, to me is celebrating others.
Each woman, each person really was created individually, uniquely, to carry certain things.
To celebrate others to me means to be as excited for them as they are, to love them, to honor them, to encourage them, and really support them in whatever it is that they are so excited about.
When someone is getting something or achieving something that we have wanted or expected should be ours, I think when we can truly rejoice in it and have joy for them, then I think we have celebrated them.
I love competition. I love to win. Ask my husband. The beginning of our marriage, a lot of our fights and arguments had to do when we played board games. I mean, how silly was that? We both wanted to win. It was an unhealthy competition that both of us had inside of us. We had to submit that to the Lord. Lord, I don't want to have this competitive spirit where I'm basically comparing myself to my friends over here, my sisters over here, and getting jealous when they may be ahead of me.
Struggle in this area because I have Satan on my shoulder sitting there telling me that I should be comparing myself to them, that I should be where they are. If something good happens to them, why is it not happening to me? And I feel like that is what's hard, is because we live in this life where it is easy to compare.
Lens up, and I'm just worried about myself. I'm thinking about myself, and I don't have that outward focus. Obviously, I'm less happy. I'm more irritable, and my mind isn't set on things above. My mind isn't in tune with what He wants me to be thinking about.
In order for me to celebrate others, I have to recognize that my story and my purpose here is different than other people's story. I have to quit comparing myself to others. Whenever I do that, I start seeing other people's strengths as a gift and not as a threat. I have to realize that I'm not the best at everything, and I am not the solution to everybody's problems, but that it's an amazing thing that everybody has different gifts for us to celebrate.
Struggled with girls that had similar, I would say, callings on their life as I do, meaning like, so if those of you that don't know, I have a store in Rockwall called the Rustic Warehouse, and I have struggled before with other people opening a store, even if it's 30 minutes away. I've struggled with it innerly, and I'm just being completely transparent with you guys, because I'm like, well, that's my thing, that's what I did and what I started, and me. And it was something that honestly would keep me up at night. You know, I'm just being really real with you guys. And the Lord broke me from that about a year ago. I struggled with it for a while.
When I look back to the unhealthiest times in my life, those are the times that it was hardest for me to celebrate other people. Either one of two reasons. One, because my cup was not full, so I had nothing to pour out into others. And I think that was partially because I was not, these would be seasons that I was not investing in my relationship with the Lord. And so I wasn't feeling full in those ways. And so I wasn't able to pour my cup out into other people. And I think too, when you're not feeling secure about who you are and who the Lord created you to be, then it's really hard to celebrate when other people walk into the fullness of who they are and who the Lord created them to be.
Just recently took me back to a couple of memories when I was a child, and I'll spare you the details, but basically in one, he showed me where that comparison and covetousness came in, where the belief, the lie that God didn't have enough for me came in. And in the second memory, he was basically showing me how that lie was reinforced and how then it became a theme in my life. And it wasn't something that was like super blatant, super obvious, but it was a subliminal lie that played out and manifested in different areas of my life. And, you know, I'm just really, as an adult, coming into that realization and finding out, okay, well, Lord, how do I get free from this? Like, how do I get to a place where I can genuinely celebrate others and rejoice for their breakthroughs and not have this orphan mindset of, well, what about me? When's it my turn? When are you going to bless me? You know, I heard Jonathan David Helser say once that jealousy is the belief that God doesn't have enough for us. And really, that's what it is.
I think the only thing that would hinder me from celebrating people is if I don't like you. Probably not gonna be happy and celebrate you. But that's rare. I mean, I like a lot of people, so that's a rare thing.
I think the hardest thing for me when it comes to celebrating other people are times where I felt those people were undeserving. But the reality is that we are all undeserving, and God's grace is this crazy, beautiful thing.
The most difficult thing is when seasons are hard in our personal lives, but the ones around you seem to be striving and living their best life. It's in these times that I've had to stop myself from jealousy and just really posture my heart to celebrate the journey in every season and all that it has to bring. And just always being cautious that I don't start living out of my flesh and that I'm always living by the Spirit.
Where I struggle the most with celebrating others is neglection, feeling neglected from others at work, with coworkers, with family, with friends, feeling pushed to the side or that they think they're better than me, feeling that ignorance and that, you know, I'm not important to them. All of those things make me feel neglected, and it's really hard for me to want to celebrate them.
I went through something, that was quite hard. We had a falling out with a friend, and that was really hard in our family. And through that, though, I learned something. You know, it seemed like we were in the valley, our family was. And it seemed like they were on the mountaintop. Lord, why are they seem to be doing so well, and we're doing so horrible? Like, I feel like we're in turmoil right now. And he said really gently, Randy, would you want them to be in the valley feeling and doing just like how you're feeling right now? And my response was no, of course not. Of course I wouldn't want them in the valley with me. This doesn't feel good. And he just basically said, you're both working through two different things, and you know, they've had their struggles too.
Really struggle with celebrating people who are playing in the same lane as me. It's a competitive thing for me, and when they advance before I do, it's hard for me to take that in because I just want to be the best at everything that I am doing. But I know that it is God's timing again, and it is His glory playing out through them, and that I need to celebrate the God within them.
One of my biggest struggles in celebrating others has been when they have received positions of leadership that I have thought I was more qualified for, or I should have at some level. I felt like I should have it and they shouldn't. Having grown up in very performance-driven religion, where the person that was the leader was, you know, the person, that is who I always wanted to be and felt like if you were a true Christian and you were sold out for Jesus, that's what you would be. That has always been a struggle of mine.
I want to encourage us all to celebrate the gold, to celebrate the beauty, to celebrate the successes, the wins, the accomplishments of our brothers and sisters. Because when we can have that heart for others, we can then come together and be used as one, as opposed to be against one another.
I have to ask Him to speak truth into my heart, speak truth into my mind, and to tell Satan to go away, because what he's telling me is not true, and what he is telling me is not right. And their other success and happiness is not a detriment to my success and happiness, and that we are not in this world to compare.
Your eyes to encourage, build up, and admonish someone else today in my life, specifically women, because hello, we're all in this together and we need each other more than anything, especially mamas. Shout out to all the mamas. I'm, in the thick of it. And so, yeah, I think there's something super powerful when we can come together and encourage each other.
I'm an Enneagram 3, which means that I battle daily the idol of success. Whenever I'm so consumed with my own success and my own to-do list, I have a hard time celebrating the success of other people. So it's truly putting aside my own success and realizing that other people are such a joy and a strength, and being willing to speak out about that. Because God's kingdom honestly works best when we are all using our unique gifts in order to glorify Him.
If any of you are struggling with competition, let's say you have a friend that they're always a step ahead of you. They get the bigger house, they get the nicer car, they get married before you, they have kids before you, whatever it is. I know that as women, we can really struggle with competition. Instead of looking at it as, that's not fair that she's doing that or whatever, start to pour into your friend and build her up, and watch how your heart can immediately change for them, and that you are easily able to celebrate in their success.
Ways that I've looked beyond myself to celebrate other people really has been just the recognition that not everybody receives celebration and love in the same way. So you really have to tap into those love languages and understand how your friends receive love and celebration, whether that's words of affirmation, quality time, gifts, so on and so forth. And recognizing that it's wonderful to receive celebration, but it's also important to give that out.
One of the keys to being able to genuinely, with a pure heart, rejoice and celebrate others and champion others and support those around us is identity. Like, not just, okay, I'm a daughter of the King, right? It's not just who I am and whose I am, but when I come into the revelation of who God created me to be, I will not want to be anyone else.
Even when you don't feel like it, step out and celebrate somebody. Or even if you're really not that excited about what they're excited about, whatever they're celebrating, you do it because you love the person. Because I'm pretty sure there's stuff you celebrate that they don't really care about either, but it's about relationships. I guess the revelation of it is it's not all about you. And celebrate your people.
I think jealousy and envy arises when we think of others' successes because we operate from a poverty mentality. We see God as a God of scarcity rather than a God of abundance. But the truth is that God says that our gift will make room for us. And he tells us that if you see someone that's skilled in their work, they will stand before kings. So we can celebrate others and still be celebrated ourselves, as long as we walk in the spirit of excellence.
Something that I love so much is just the beauty of God in creating each of us with a special calling and a unique purpose. That no one is created the same, and we get to unfold what his plans are while we're here on earth. To know that we all have a piece of the puzzle in God's creation is just absolutely something to celebrate.
Where I do celebrate the best is with gift giving. I love to give gifts. It's one of my love languages. I love to put a lot of meaning and thought and make these gifts personable. And I put a lot of time and effort, and I love to do it. All kinds of gifts, big, small, cheap, expensive.
So it's so important that you remember that everyone has their struggles, which is why it's so important to celebrate when people, whether they're on the top of the mountain or in the valley.
And then my revelation on this is just to see the Lord in everything that is going on in me and other people, and just to celebrate that glory that he is bringing from heaven to earth.
The only way that I've gotten breakthrough in this area has been from letting the Lord heal my heart. And one of the biggest keys recently that has enabled me to celebrate others has been the ability to celebrate what the Lord is doing in me and what he's doing in my life, and to truly be content in where he has me and be okay with where my life is, and just praying for him to give me a pure heart, pure hands, and pure motives. Like, just come and purify me, refine me to the core. And there's been lots of tears, there's been lots of stripping away of things and me laying down things that I thought brought me success. And one of the questions the Lord asked me a few months ago was, who are you when you have nothing in your life that you think is worth celebrating? Nothing that people can look at and applaud. Who are you then? And I think getting just to the core of who you are before the Lord, when you are just you, and there's no accomplishments, there's no successes, it's just you, your heart, and his. And I feel like that's one of the pathways to being able to celebrate others.
'Cause I am made